If the rumors about Sonny, Ava, and Drew are even half true, we are about to witness a psychological war that will leave this town in ashes. We all know that in the world of daytime drama, secrets never stay buried for long, but the way this particular secret might explode could change the entire landscape of our favorite legacy family forever. If you ask me, the idea of Ava Jerome and Drew Kane secretly joining forces is the exact definition of an unholy alliance. On the surface, these two might seem like they operate in completely different circles, but when you dig a little deeper, you realize they share a very dangerous common denominator. They're complicated, often toxic relationships with Sonny Corinthos. Ava has always been a survivor, a woman who thrives on power and control, while Drew has been spiraling down a much darker path recently, carrying a heavy burden of resentment. The thought of these two brilliant, ruthless minds coming together to form a secret partnership is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. But what happens when the man they are trying to take down is always 3 steps ahead? Let us talk about Ava Jerome for a moment. We have watched her for years, and we know that she never does anything without a meticulously crafted hidden agenda. If she is the one who initiated this secret alliance with Drew, you can bet your bottom dollar that she is doing it to systematically dismantle Sonny's power structure in Port Charles. Ava does not just want to survive. She wants to reign supreme. By pulling Drew into her manipulative scheme, she gains access to corporate power, financial backing, and a man who is currently operating with a massive chip on his shoulder. It is a brilliant tactical move, but it is also incredibly risky. Ava is playing with fire, and she knows it, but the potential reward of seeing Sonny brought to his knees is just too tempting for her to resist. Then we have Drew Kane. Oh, ladies, what has happened to our once noble hero? Ever since his time in prison and the subsequent betrayals he has faced, Drew has been operating from a place of deep, simmering anger. If he is secretly working with Ava, he is likely doing it because he believes he can use her connections and her cunning to further his own goals. He might think he is the one in control of this partnership, using Ava as a tool to exact his revenge on the people who have wronged him. But we all know how dangerous it is to underestimate Ava Jerome. Drew might believe he is the mastermind, but he could very well be walking straight into a web that Ava has spun specifically for him. Now, here is where the domino effect truly begins to take shape. I highly suspect that Sonny Corinthos will not remain in the dark about this unholy alliance for very long. Sonny has eyes and ears all over Port Charles, and his survival instincts are legendary. But instead of kicking down doors, throwing barware, and confronting Ava and Drew with his usual explosive rage, what if Sonny does the exact opposite? What if he discovers their betrayal and chooses to remain completely silent? If you ask me, a quiet Sonny Corinthos is far more terrifying than an angry one. By pretending he knows absolutely nothing, Sonny would be lulling Ava and Drew into a false sense of security, allowing their arrogance to grow with every passing day. Imagine the sheer tension of those scenes, guys. Ava and Drew, sitting in the Metro Court or the gallery, exchanging smug, knowing glances, fully believing that their manipulative scheme is working perfectly. They would be toasting to their impending victory, completely unaware that the man they are plotting against is watching their every move from the shadows. Sonny would carefully observe their interactions, tracking their secret meetings, and piecing together the exact nature of their hidden agenda. He would realize very quickly that Ava is the architect of this plot, using Drew as the heavy artillery to weaken his empire. Once Sonny has all the pieces of the puzzle, he would not just strike blindly. No, Sonny would set a masterful psychological trap. I can completely see Sonny intentionally leaking a piece of false information, perhaps a fabricated vulnerability in his organization, a fake shipment schedule, or a lie about his financial stability. He would drop this bait perfectly in Ava's path, knowing she would immediately snatch it up and run to Drew. Sonny would be orchestrating a brilliant illusion, making them believe that he has made a fatal, uncharacteristic mistake. Ava, driven by her insatiable thirst for power, would immediately want to capitalize on this perceived weakness. Drew, blinded by his resentment and his desire to prove his superiority, would agree that the time to strike has finally arrived. They would pool their resources, finalize their strategy, and step out of the shadows to deliver what they believe is the killing blow to Sonny's empire. But exactly at the moment they think they have won, Sonny would flip the script. He would step out of the darkness, not with a gun, but with the devastating truth that he has known about their partnership all along. But guys, the twist does not end there. Sonny's ultimate goal would not just be to stop their immediate attack. If he truly wants to protect his territory and his legacy family, he has to destroy the very foundation of their unholy alliance. He needs to shatter their trust in each other. When Sonny confronts them, he would expertly plant seeds of doubt. He might drop a subtle hint that Ava came to him first, or he might suggest that Drew was willing to sell Ava out for a better position. Sonny would play them against each other like a grandmaster, moving chess pieces, turning their shared ambition into toxic paranoia. This is where the psychological warfare reaches its absolute peak. Ava, who already struggles to trust anyone, would immediately begin to analyze every single interaction she has had with Drew. She would wonder if Drew had been secretly negotiating a side deal with Sonny to save his own skin, leaving her to take the fall. Drew, on the other hand, would look at Ava's long history of betrayal and assume that she had hidden a crucial part of the plan from him. He would believe that Ava was using him as a sacrificial lamb while she secured her own safety. The vicious cycle of mistrust would begin to consume them both. Every conversation between Ava and Drew would become a tense interrogation. Every move they make would be second-guessed. Sonny would sit back in his office, sipping his coffee, watching as his two enemies slowly tear each other apart from the inside out. He would believe that he has successfully neutralized the threat by turning the hunters into the hunted. By breaking their trust, he ensures that they can never effectively collaborate against him again. It is a brilliant, cold-blooded strategy that perfectly aligns with the ruthless mob boss we have known for decades. However, we have watched this show long enough to know that the writers love to pull the rug out from under us when we least expect it. What if Sonny's brilliant psychological manipulation actually backfires in the most spectacular way possible? What if, in the midst of their paranoia and their vicious cycle of accusations, Ava and Drew suddenly have a moment of absolute clarity? They are both incredibly intelligent, seasoned players in the Port Charles Game of Thrones. It is entirely possible that during a heated argument, they might suddenly realize that their sudden distrust of each other is exactly what Sonny engineered. Imagine the look on their faces when the realization hits them. They would see that Sonny has been playing them like a fiddle, manipulating their insecurities to keep them divided. In that moment of profound clarity, instead of walking away from each other, Ava and Drew might make the most dangerous decision of their lives. They might decide to temporarily bury their differences, swallow their pride, and completely unite their forces. By trying to tear them apart, Sonny might inadvertently forge a bond between them that is stronger and more resilient than their original alliance ever was. If you ask me, this would be the ultimate turning point of the entire storyline. Sonny Corinthos, the master tactician, would suddenly find himself facing a fully united front. Ava and Drew, now fully aware of Sonny's tactics, would no longer be operating in the shadows with false confidence. They would be operating with a shared, burning desire to make Sonny pay for playing mind games with them. They would combine Ava's ruthless cunning with Drew's relentless determination, creating a force that could legitimately threaten everything Sonny has built over the past 30 years. This shift in dynamics would send massive shockwaves through every legacy family in town. The Quartermains, the Spencers, and the Corinthos family would all feel the collateral damage of this escalating war. Michael, Carly, and Jason would inevitably be dragged into the crossfire as Sonny scrambles to defend his empire against an enemy he severely underestimated. The psychological warfare would escalate into a full-blown battle for the soul of Port Charles, with loyalties being tested and dark secrets being dragged into the harsh light of day. So, where does this leave our characters? Ava and Drew might believe they have the upper hand now that they see through Sonny's manipulation, but Sonny is never truly defeated until the final bell rings. If Sonny wants to maintain his grip on the city, he is going to have to dig deeper, fight dirtier, and find a completely new way to break this unholy alliance before it destroys him. But as I look at this incredible chess match unfolding, I cannot help but wonder if there is an even bigger picture we are missing. Ava and Drew think they are hunting Sonny. Sonny thinks he is hunting them. But in a town where nothing is ever as it seems, could all three of these powerful titans actually just be pawns in a much larger, far more sinister manipulative scheme orchestrated by someone hiding in plain sight?